The iPhone 16 is the latest in a long line of iPhones that have done absolutely nothing to innovate. It's a calculated trick by a company that knows its audience will eat up whatever they place in front of them. Saving their true upgrades for later on, Apple is just stringing people along trying to squeeze everything they can out of their customer base. So let's dive into just how far Apple has fallen behind and why their business model means they don't really have to care. Smartphones are pretty much essential today, and this year Apple beat out all their competitors for the top spot. People know what they're getting and they know the brand. It's this idea of comfort that makes them sell. People suddenly aren't buying iPhones for the specs. Apple's real development is going into things that we won't see perfected for a while, like the Vision Pro and their progress towards AR glasses, along with buying up every AR company under the sun and trying to make sure they're at the top of the AI revolution. I mean, when you look at the actual products rather than the brands, it very quickly becomes clear they're just trying to cash in. They've made slight changes and called them improvements, whilst other manufacturers have made actual attempts to innovate. I mean, for the price of $1,000, you can now just get the slightly updated iPhone 16 Pro, all for a slightly larger display, a slightly larger battery, a slightly new color, a slightly faster chip, and slight camera improvements. Once again, the new iPhone is just a slightly upgraded version of the last, with no new innovation or impact. So it's no surprise comments have been pouring in after the event, talking about how boring it really was, marking Apple's 2024 event as being just yet another nothing burger. But before we continue, I want to tell you about War Thunder. War Thunder is the most comprehensive vehicle combat game ever made, and is available now for free on PC and consoles. In War Thunder, you can take command of over 2,500 tanks, planes, helicopters, and ships of 10 major nations, ranging from biplanes and armored cars of the 1920s to the fighter jets and main battle tanks of today. War Thunder offers intense combat with realistic graphics and sound effects that puts you in control of the most powerful war machines ever built. Join over 70 million players worldwide in epic PvP battles and experience the thrill of military history like never before. One of War Thunder's standout features is its sophisticated vehicle damage model. Every vehicle is intricately designed, down to its engines, fuel tanks, and crew, all susceptible to damage from enemy fire. Watch in awe as the X-ray view shows you exactly how a vehicle was destroyed, pinpointing the exact path of the shell and all the components affected. Whether you prefer fast-paced action, a balance of realism, or the ultimate challenge, War Thunder has a game mode for you. Choose from arcade, realistic, or simulator modes, each offering a unique experience tailored to different playstyles. War Thunder also allows for in-depth customization of your vehicles, with countless camouflages, historical markings, and decorations, including community-created content. And best of all, you can jump into the action with just your mouse and keyboard or controller, no extra hardware needed. Thanks to the highly optimized Daegor engine, War Thunder delivers smooth gameplay and stunning visuals, even on low-end machines. So sign up today using the link in the pinned comment or video description and grab your massive bonus pack, available for a limited time to new and returning players who haven't played in 6 months. The pack includes multiple premium vehicles, an exclusive vehicle decorator Eagle of Valor, 100,000 Silver Lions, and 7 days of a premium account. So don't miss out. Download War Thunder for free and join the battle today. Companies like Samsung and Google have also both been working hard on trying to find the next big innovation. Both of them have now released their own versions of a folding phone. While some might think of this as a gimmick, the fact that Samsung are on their 6th version shows there's enough of a market for them. And the benefits do seem clear, as you're pretty much able to double the size of your screen without sacrificing being able to fit it in your pocket. Now there's still some work to do on making them thinner and more durable. For lots of people, the screens suddenly crack for no reason. Then there's the crease, which still gets in the way and keeps a lot of people from buying them. The price tag is probably the biggest problem though, which is the main reason most people won't pick one up. The Google Pixel sells for around $1,600 to $1,750, which is way too much for most people to spend on a phone. Apple has steered completely clear of this. With the premium, people are willing to pay for them. They could easily charge more than enough to make it worth their while. But with the problem still there, Apple hasn't wanted to risk staining their brand with a poor product. That's the draw of Apple, their entire brand. People trust them to deliver stable products. But as we've seen, there's a difference between stability and stagnation. Apple's greatest trick has been how they've created the perfect way to drip feed their products to the masses. Planned obsolescence in tech is so common today, it's really hard to even find something that won't break after a couple of years. Apple's no different. In fact, they're the masters of it. They know most of their customers are on a 2 to 3 year cycle. They pretty much have to be. They need to buy a new phone once their current one just stops working, making them feel slick and high quality to disguise fatal flaws under the surface. They've been caught directly interfering to speed up this process before. In 2020, 2016, people got suspicious when their older iPhones started switching themselves off once they reached 30% battery. Apple said they fixed this in a software update, but it was all just smoke and mirrors. The updates fixed the bug, but they also forced the phones to work harder and eat up more power. Over time, it made them feel slower and drained their batteries even more.
Yeah.
But I'm so sour on Apple because of what they did with the batteries.
Yeah.
That was such a dirty thing to me. Because everybody had always suspected, like my friend Brian was always like, dude, I'm telling you, when the new phones come out, your old phone starts moving slower. I'm like, dude, that's a conspiracy. That's all horseshit.
Yeah.
I'm like, your phone's just old, bro. But then when I found out that it was real, I was like, you assholes. And
It's
to pretend.
The problem was the way they didn't tell people.
Often this is how it works because it keeps Apple out of the courts. When the phone slows down, people think it's just because it's old, not because it's being sapped out of its remaining lifespan. Then when they upgrade and the phone can handle new updates, the problem suddenly disappears and they get rewarded for buying another one. Today it's subtler, but not really any different. They're still up to the same tricks, in fact they've even gotten sneakier. People still have their phones suddenly die after a few years, showing that a high price doesn't always guarantee high quality. One way to get around planned obsolescence and forced upgrades is to switch out parts. If the battery starts dying or the screen loses its edge, you can easily just replace it. But over time, this has only gotten harder and harder to do. Today they use a mixture of custom seals, glues, and modular non-standard screws to hold the phone together. You actually used to be able to buy a kit online and do it yourself with a screwdriver and a pair of tweezers. Now you need to take it to a repair shop, a licensed one. Or if you go to an official Apple store, it's even worse. People often have stories of taking their iPhone in for repairs, only to find out that it'll be much quicker and cheaper just to buy a new one instead. All because they've inflated the price so much. They try to stop people using third-party repair shops as well. If some iPhones detect replacement parts, they start blocking off features to try and get you to upgrade instead. Replacement batteries don't show their health in the settings, and the third-party screens can't use the tone feature that responds to light levels. They did recently announce that they will actually be ending these practices, but it does seem a little too late. Apple is still a company that demands your loyalty and punishes you for buying any other products. The key is the iPhone. They've always focused on making it the most premium product on the market. As we've seen with the iPhone 16, it's not really true anymore, but it would take a lot more stagnation for their fans to wake up. If you buy in, Apple has a bunch of different ways to make you buy all of their other tech as well. Lots of these have already been banned. Others are the subject of an upcoming legal battle. Right now, an anti-monopoly lawsuit from the US's Department of Justice is in the works. It alleges that Apple has specifically made it so that their products don't work with other brands. And there's a bunch of examples, like the way that Apple Watches don't properly work with other smartphones. They technically do, but most of the features don't work, so there really isn't much point. Apple had to be legally forced to let third-party app stores onto their device. In 2022, the EU demanded that they let people use things other than the App Store. As we've seen in the past, it lets them block apps from being downloaded and punish other developers when they step out of line. It's what Epic Games sued them over in 2020.
Apple and the maker of Fortnite, Epic Games, will battle it out in court today in a lawsuit that could change how millions of iPhone users download apps. The developer claims Apple is monopolizing mobile gaming through its App Store.
Even the green bubbles that give messages that don't come through iMessage are part of the strategy, as it makes them seem inferior. So much of Apple's strategy relies on keeping this monopoly, and making it as hard as possible for people to mix and match the products they buy. There's a reason it took so long for them to switch over to USB-C, years and years after everyone else did. It meant they could sell more of their own cheap chargers, another product which was never designed to last. The lawsuit about all of this will take years, just like any other lawsuit against a massive company with a bunch of money to throw at lawyers. But even if they do end up losing, it will only mean a fine for the government, and they'll have to change a few small minor things. In the meantime, Apple will be able to keep their tricks going. It's pretty certain that they will have made far more money than they'll have to pay out. It only makes it worse that Apple's customer support has gotten so bad. Apple used to actually care about their customer service. If you bought Apple, you could take your tech into any Apple store and have it diagnosed and repaired, usually for free. Today though, it's a different story. Now it's become yet another way for them to squeeze even more money out of you. As with all of their customer service, it's a mixed bag. There's plenty of times people have met someone who's willing to go the extra mile and help solve their issue. Then there's the horror stories of delays, fees, and eventually having to give up on ever getting your problems solved. All you need to do to see this is visit Apple's Trustpilot page, where their 1.7 out of 5 rating speaks for itself. Other large tech companies have similar abysmal ratings, but you'd expect Apple to be at least a little bit better rather than worse. Apple has made it clear that their focus is now on replacement rather than repair. It's much better for them if you just buy a new iPhone rather than getting your old one fixed. In 2011, they introduced Apple Care Plus, a monthly fee which gives you a type of insurance for your Apple products. If you opt in, then most repairs are under $100, with replacements costing a little more. But if you don't have it, and you're past their insanely short 1-year warranty, then the price they charge for repair can be more than just buying a newer model. And it's pretty clear why they're doing this. It all feeds back into their planned obsolescence and the need for people to stay on the 2-year upgrade cycle. Of course, there are plenty of shops that'll do it for far less, far more quickly, and without you ever paying a monthly fee before it even happens. But we've already gone into how Apple makes sure that people don't do that either. But Apple competitors don't do this. They might not have their own genius bars, but the repairs are far cheaper and the warranty lasts longer. And they also don't try to stop other people from repairing their products. When Steve Jobs passed away, Apple changed the core of their business strategy. They gave up on true innovation and decided to cash in on the loyalty they had built instead. Now they only focus on whales, the highest paying customers. To get the most out of their products, or even to unlock the basic features you paid for, you can only buy Apple. It's something that's cost thousands and thousands of dollars to do. And even if you do that, you still need to keep replacing the products every 2 to 3 years. They've made sure of that with their products' short lifespans and exorbitant repair costs, enabling them to squeeze so much more money out of their whales whilst leaving everyone else with an inferior product. And what have they done with all of this money? They've tried to secure the next big innovation, but it hasn't really worked out. First, they threw billions at their own self-driving car project, but then they dropped this to completely focus on AI instead, which hasn't really shown any good results either. Meanwhile, we've seen the same iPhone sold over and over again, with the bare minimum of actual upgrades. The iPhone 16 is just the next version of that, and it will probably still be years before we see anything that's actually worth considering. And I want to end this by saying a big thanks to War Thunder for sponsoring this video. Remember to check them out today by using the link in the description below.